Hey gang, today we're going to take a look at some real-world system of equations in two variables. So we're going to look at word problems that require us to create equations like the ones we worked last week, where we have to eliminate either an x or a y to solve the equation. So with word problems, first, of course, you want to read the problem. Second, you're going to identify the two variables. Third, you're going to write two equations that can be used to solve the system using elimination. Fourth, you're going to solve for one of the variables. Fifth, you're going to substitute the solution found in step 4 into each equation to find the solution for the other variable. And last, you're going to write a statement that gives the solution to the problem. So let's take a look at some examples. In our first scenario, we have Jenna, who babysits and works at a coffee shop. One week, she babysat for 4 hours and served coffee for 10 hours and earned a total of $127. Another week, she babysat for 8 hours and served coffee for 8 hours and earned $140. How much does she make per hour at each job? So we want to figure out her hourly pay for each of these jobs. So in this first part, we have that she babysat for 4 hours and she served coffee for 10 hours, making a total of $127. So we can write 4b for babysitting plus 10c for coffee equals 127. Then in the third sentence, we have another week she babysat for 8 hours and served coffee for 8 hours and earned 140. So that's 8b plus 8c equals 140. Now we want to eliminate, and if you remember, in order to eliminate, we need to have a pair of opposite coefficients. So here I see 4 and 8 with the b's. That makes this very easy. I can multiply this top equation by -2 because 4 times -2 would be -8, and that would allow me to cancel out the b's. So I distribute the -2 and rewrite my system. That gives me -8b minus 20c equals -254. Then we bring over the second equation, 8b plus 8c equals 140. And then we add vertically. So -8b plus 8b cancels out. -20c plus 8c gives me -12c. And -254 minus 140, or plus 140, so I could do 254 minus 140 and then make it negative, gives me -114. Then lastly, I divide by -12. And we get C equals 114 divided by 12. I don't have to worry about the negatives because I know a negative divided by a negative is a positive, 9.5. So that means when Jenna works at the coffee shop, she makes $9.50 per hour. So now I still got to figure out how much she makes babysitting. So we're going to plug that into one of the equations. I'm going to put it in the top one just because it looks like it might be easier to do in my head. So 4b plus 10 times 9.5 equals 127. So that's 4b plus 10 times 9.5 is 95 equals 127. Subtract 95. I get 4b equals 7 minus 5 is 2, and 12 minus 9 is 3, so 32. And last, divide by 4. So we get b equals 8, or $8 an hour babysitting. So lastly, we write our statement. Jenna makes $8 per hour babysitting and $9.50 per hour at the coffee shop. Writing incomplete sentences and restating the question. How much does she make per hour at each job? All right, let's take a look at another example. 2. Mrs. Kiesler went shopping for rulers and scissors. She bought 30 items in all. Rulers cost 50 cents each and scissors cost $1.25. She spent a total of $31.50. How many rulers and scissors did she buy? So again, that first sentence gives me my first equation. So we know it's rulers plus scissors and a total of 30 items. Then the second gives us our second equation. We know that rulers are 50 cents each and scissors are $1.25 each. and it costs a total of $31.50. So I have my two equations. Now I need to multiply one by a number so that I can cancel out. Well, I can very easily make a half 1. 0.5 times 2 is 1. So if I multiply this bottom equation all by -2, it will give me -1 and allow me to cancel out those r's. So now I've got r plus s equals 30. And negative r plus, nope, let's change that to the minus because I'm multiplying by a negative, minus 250s, because 2 times $1.25 would be 250. So -2 times $1.25 would be -250 equals -2 times 3150 is going to be 31, and 31 would be 62. A half and a half makes 1. So it's going to be -$63. So now we can cancel out. R minus R cancels. S minus 250s is 1 minus 250, so that's -150s equals 30 minus 63, or -33. Divide by -150, and we'll have the number of scissors purchased. So we do 33 divided by 150 is 22. So Mrs. Kiesler purchased 22 scissors. Now we plug that back in to find the number of rulers, and it's going to be easier to plug it in that top equation. So we have R plus 22 equals 30. Subtract the 22, and R equals 8. So Mrs. Kiesler purchased 22 scissors and 8 rulers. All right, so 2 examples done. Hopefully you're picking this up and you understand how I'm doing all of this fancy math. Let's take a look at number 3. So now Mr. Haver went shopping for whiteboards and markers. He bought 40 items in all. Whiteboards cost $3 each and markers cost 50 cents each. He spent a total of $70. How many of each did he buy? So again, in that first equation, or that first sentence, we have the first equation. We know it's whiteboards plus markers for a total of 40 items. Then whiteboards cost $3 each and markers cost 50 cents each, and he spent $70. Okay, so now again, like I did before, I could multiply the top equation or the bottom equation by -2, because a half times 2 is going to be a whole, and that would help me cancel out the m's. Or I could take this top equation and multiply it by -3 and cancel out the w's. So either way works. There's no one right way or wrong way to do this. I'm going to multiply the top one by -3 for today. So we have -3w minus 3m equals -120. And I know that because 4 times 3 is 12. So 40 times -3 is going to be -120. Then 3w plus a half m equals 70 underneath. Adding vertically, we have -3w plus 3w cancels out. -3m plus a half m is -2.5m equals -120 plus 70, or 70 minus 120, which is going to be -50. Divide by -2.5. And we get m equals, well, I know 50 divided by 25 is going to be 2. So 50 divided by 2.5 should be 20. Let's check it. 50 divided by 2.5, just to be sure, and it is 20. Okay, so we know that Mr. Haver bought 20 markers. Now we got to figure out whiteboards. So we plug in that 20. So W plus 20 equals 40. Subtracting 20, we know he also bought 20 whiteboards. So now we can say Mr. Haver purchased 20 markers and 20 whiteboards. Okay. So now we've done 3 examples. You should be picking this up. You're going to now try 4 and 5 on your own. Please make sure to check in with me so I can be sure you've got the right answer before moving on to your exit ticket.